Hello, I am Bentham and welcome back to Factorio Railworld. In the previous episode we were in the Midpoint base working out a bunch of production, getting some more things set up, so that now everything that the megatrain has on board is either loaded or unloaded in the Midpoint. So any resupplying that can be done is done here, which means that the main purpose of the Midpoint base is now being served. It now does what we originally set it up to do. There's still more possibilities. We could set up more production here, we could add more defenses, things like that. But now that the main job is done, now that the Midpoint is the resupply base that it was intended to be, it's time to start thinking about continuing our journey around the lake. It's been a long time since we arrived here and sort of settled down and got on with a bunch more factory building, but the time is upon us to sort of like set off on the second leg of the journey and hopefully sooner rather than later finish the Lake Railway, have it going all the way back round, joining up somewhere around Iron Outpost 2, and just having it all done, and then we'll move on to other things, mostly rocket-based, so we go from there. But yes, I'm preparing my inventory for battle, basically setting up the hotbar to have all the weaponry in the right place, have the secondary power suit, though it's not so good with that now, because you can't actually jump straight from one to the other. You have to take one off before you can put the other one on, which leaves you extremely vulnerable and sort of ruins the entire point of having the second one, but at least it gives us options. We can have a more combat-focused suit and one more focused on logistics and running fast and things like that. And so what I just did there was I set up a blueprint for some diagonal rails, because setting up diagonal rails is an absolute pain, and I can't be bothered doing it all manually for the rest of the journey. And now that we have personal roboports, we can get the bots to do it for us, which is brilliant. It seems like a good idea to have left it till 0.12 to continue, because there's all sorts of new technologies we can help with that should hopefully outbalance not being able to use the backup power suit. Also, there are behemoth biters. We are going to have to worry about those. They are going to cause us a fair bit of trouble. But anyway, let's go meet them now. There's a couple of bases that have been built recently or set up or whatever near to the Midpoint, and we need to deal with them before we continue on our way, because it's a little bit too close for comfort. This is right on the edge of the pollution, and attacks were probably going to be happening very, very soon, probably within this episode if I hadn't dealt with it, depending on how the production goes. I did just request 5 stacks of rails, which means that the iron outpost the iron mine that's in the Midpoint will have been kicking in, and that probably would have generated enough pollution to start annoying these biters. So we're going to deal with them. Gives us a little bit of practice as well. As you can see, I'm using poison capsules because I said to give them a little bit of a test. They are good for dealing with worms. They are essentially useless at this point in dealing with biters, because behemoth biters are just so powerful that they don't even notice the poison. You can stack it though. If you just keep dropping more and more poison capsules on the same spot, then the poison will just keep getting worse. So with enough of them, it could work. And I think that, well, I'm pretty sure that they are cheaper than destroyer drones. So maybe that is a future tactic I should try. I tried repairing my destroyer drones there with the repair packs. Doesn't work. I didn't expect it to, but it would have been nice. I think there was a time in like the distant past where like construction drone things, I've forgotten the name, construction bots, that's what they're called, could automatically repair destroyer drones. I guess that was stopped because of trouble with them being killed. Anyway, we try and set off in the megatrain, but unfortunately we are stopped by a laser turret, because no trains have been out here since before 0.12 came along, and turrets expanded, so they ended up blocking the rail. We've run them over. I decided to blow it up, it doesn't matter that much, and then I've made sure that the bots don't replace it. And my other personal bots have fixed the tanks, not the tank, we don't use tanks anymore, but fix the train, so everything's good there. One last thing we do before we set off properly is hop back and look for a spot to set up a station. Just plonk it there, any like flat bit that's nearby, and we call the station ARG, because that is probably what we'll be shouting if we ever order the train to go back there. The purpose of that train is to run away very quickly. It'll appear at the top of the list of stations because it's a double A. I think there was a recent change so that it doesn't matter whether it's capital or lowercase anymore. That might have just been in autosaves, or it might have been a general game thing, I'm not sure. But it's rejigged all my autosaves, it's very confusing. Not my autosaves, my just saves. So yes, we'll continue on our way. The station is there. If we ever are in serious trouble and the train needs to run, then we can quickly order it to go to ARG, and it will start reversing as fast as its one engine on the back can carry it. I could always add some more, like in flight, in drive, ride in, I don't know what you call it when you're on a train, really. I guess it is ride. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, yes, that will be a good sort of backup, run away from everything situation, because it's entirely possible with the behemoth biters being here. This makes things a lot more difficult. We are deploying as many as 80 bots at once to deal with any base, where, like previously, in my first trip around the lake, I think I was deploying, like, the most I would ever deploy was 50 bots for the really, really big bases, and then I could run in and deal with them in fairly short order. The behemoth biters make this a lot more difficult, and if you want to survive, you have to deploy a fair bit more. 50 is sort of like the minimum now. Really small bases with like 4 spawners, you can probably take out with only 30. But yeah, the days of like going around with 10 bots and that being enough for some minor like conflicts, that is gone. Any sort of wave of biters running at you, if you just deploy 10 bots for them, they could easily take all of them out and then kill you as well. So it's not good. It's going to use up a lot more of our supplies, but we've been building up destroy drones for so long now that we probably have enough for the journey. We may get a little bit low on them towards the end, but at that point we can always run back to the main base and resupply, at which point there'll probably be a bunch more available. Now, particularly with my recent addition of an extra assembler for the speed modules, because that was a major limiting factor. We've also done a lot of work on trying to keep up the plastic supply and all the circuits and things. Anyway, with this being time-lapse and everything, or whatever you'd call it, post-commentaryed, as opposed to the real time that I did the first time I came around the lake, I can be a lot more leisurely in my activities. I don't need to worry so much about, like, keeping things interesting. I can just wander around at my own pace and basically do this properly. So I can run around, grab all the alien artifacts that I left last time round, and also do some proper scanning. A lot of these little bits of land sticking out, I just scanned them to see if you could get across them, and when I found out you couldn't, I left them. But now what I'm doing is sort of running to all the edges of the bits of land so that we can get as much of the surrounding area scanned as possible, so we can get as good an idea of the dimensions of the lake as possible, because there are still some bits that are pretty much shrouded in darkness that we just missed. As you may have seen there was a big path carved through the forest. That will be from my previous journey, when I just shotgunned my way through everything, which led to some issues later on when I ran out of shotgun ammo, but at the time I had plenty. Nowadays you don't need to do that, because the collision boxes of trees have been significantly reduced. You can now just sort of weave your way through some trees without too much difficulty, rather than basically being forced to destroy them or just get completely stuck. So yes, we're continuing with our rails. We're now going due east. We won't be doing that much more though. I think this is the last time that we go in that direction, which shows that we are definitely making some progress. I set up Station A there, so that we can get the train to go to A whenever it needs to, and it allows me to call the train in when I'm a bit too far ahead of it for it to be worth going back for it. That's the plan anyway. Often it doesn't work. I either forget to set up the train properly or the station properly, or there's a gap in the line and I end up having to go back for the train anyway. But occasionally it works, and it does save time then. Anyway, we've spun a nice little island base here, and I suddenly realised that I can use my bots to pick up the alien artifacts, meaning I can even pick up artifacts that aren't connected to where I am by land. I can just send my bots over. Anyway, there's a couple of biters here, and I decided to test fighting them without bots. The results are not good. I lose half my shields in a fight with one behemoth biter. It shows just how ridiculous they are. The big ones are just easy to deal with now by comparison. So yes, we'll deal with some more bases. And it's clear that we have to go in with the bots. So I've got like 70 of them here. I think I started with 80, but they blow them up pretty quickly. You do have to keep an eye on the numbers and keep resupplying as you battle. And occasionally you even have to fall back a bit just because they've built up a bit too much. If you get too big a group of spitters, then you just have to start running. And then sort of picking them off until you're happy to just run at them, and you think you'll be alright. I think I went into that battle with the wrong power suit as well, because one power suit has, I believe, 15 shields equipped, and the other one only has 8, because 6 of them have been swapped out for exoskeleton legs, and 1 has been swapped out for the personal roboports. I could add more, and that would give me extra roboport range, and extra capacity for bots to move, but basically having 1 is the important thing. It allows you to do any sort of basic logistic stuff. Well, construction bot stuff, you can't actually use logistics bots. That would probably be a bit too complicated and unnecessary, and you don't really want to be running any logistics system off your own power suit. Anyway, we came quite close to losing our shields there. and of course we now have no real backup in terms of the suit. If we could run away quick enough, then we could quickly put on the suit before the biters get back to us again. Shields got very low there, worryingly low. That was a full scale run away as fast as you can moment. And that's with like 40 bots like flying around my head. It's ridiculous. But yes, we've succeeded. And ultimately it's not too bad. I am finding that the bases are not quite as bad to deal with as I expected. I think part of the reason for that is that because I've been around here before and these bases, a lot of them all already existed, they've already spawned the big biters and spitters and sort of filled out their quota of biters, which means that when you go to attack them, they don't have they barely have any behemoth biters and spitters, and it's only once you actually kill some of them that some room gets freed up and they start spawning. But by then you've already got the upper hand, you've arrived in the base and you've started taking out the spawners. So it's not as bad as I was expecting, and if anything, it's easier to deal with than the bases back home, because they've been newly made and then fully outfitted with like almost entirely behemoth biters and spitters, and it's not fun. But yes, we've cleared out more areas so we can continue with the rails, now moving northeast. But yeah, we're coming to the end of these directions. Very soon it'll all be there'll be a bit more north, and then it'll all be west from here, until we start looping back round and heading along on the last leg. So it's a good way of sort of measuring how far you've got, like what directions of rail you don't have to see again. So yes, we're now going north. For a bit I think we go in, but maybe out again, I don't really know. That might be it. That might be the last time we go at all east, which is good. And I think at this point we're definitely approaching we're definitely either close to or past the halfway point, because the midpoint base is slightly before the middle of the journey. I think it's actually quite hard to tell, because the last quarter of the journey I don't properly scan the lake, because at that point I'm just running through forest and not keeping track of where the edge of the lake actually is. I was just sort of trying my best to run directly towards Iron Outpost 2 to get back safely. So we're getting quite low now on destroyer drones. I've got 9 of them deployed just for emergency purposes. I'm doing a bit of gathering of alien artifacts, and I accidentally let some of the bots go. If you switch out your power suits while there are still bots out, they will default to the nearest roboports, because they don't have anywhere else to go. And even if you re-equip the suit, it will not help. So I've lost 5 bots, and as you can see, there's some explosions going on. They've flown over some uncharted land in the middle of the lake, and apparently there are some worms or spitters or something there, and they've shot them down. I don't know if all of them have been shot down. Some of them may have made it through by being like a little bit more to the south or something. And we will find that out next time we get back to the midpoint base. If the logistics network contains like 53 construction bots, then we know that that some of them managed to make it back home. And very brave of them too. It's going to take them a very long time anyway, because they powered down almost immediately after leaving me, because they were already low on power, I think, from gathering the artifacts. And bots don't really last that long in terms of power. They have to recharge fairly frequently. So yes, more biter killing going on. More bases dealt with. It's going fairly well. If I just deploy 80 bots and then sweep through as many bases as I can before they all blow up, then I make some pretty good progress, and we clear out a very nice open area. Going through the middle of an iron deposit. Probably will never use this. It's miles away from anywhere really. We already have one in the midpoint base that is much more accessible, and will probably never run out. Well, I always say never, but technically that's not possible. They will always run out. It's just a case of whether they will run out at a time when I still need them. It's hard to say. But yes, more gathering of artifacts, and I'm being a bit dangerous here because I currently have only 2 sets of destroyer drones handy, and I accidentally aggro the biters. I didn't mean to. I think it was the bots moving out a little bit and sort of getting in their range. So we deployed the 10 destroyer drones that we had, and only 3 of them survived, which shows how dangerous this is. There weren't that many attacking us, but they dealt with most of the bots, and we would have been on our own if they had died. We would have still had like the poison capsules and things like that, but I had forgotten that I had those. This is something that happened the first time round the lake as well. I always forget that I have anything other than shotgun ammo and destroyer drones, and I apologise for this because it is infuriating, particularly when there's situations that clearly call for poison capsules, or indeed slowdown capsules, which to this day I have never used, and I just sort of forget that I have them completely and don't use them. But yeah, I should use the slowdown capsules when when the biters are chasing me, but I always forget because biters are chasing me, and I get distracted and just like spam more destroyers in the hope that will be enough. Anyway, once again deploying 80, that seems to be the sort of the industry standard or whatever you want to call it for dealing with these. Deploy 80, run in, if it gets a bit low, deploy some more, and you should be fine. Just watch out for them all exploding at once. There's always something to be careful of. And there are cases where you run into a new base and you're getting hammered by spitters and everything, and then suddenly, one by one, all of your bots start exploding, and you're having to try and spam them out as quick as possible to keep up your supply. But yes, another base here. I like the ones that are sort of long and you sort of can run along them and not aggro too much at once, but manage to get through them fairly easily. Though we do have to fall back from this one. I could always just deploy more destroyers, but I don't want to waste too many. We've already gone through a stack of them. It just shows how quickly we're going to get through these. So it's going to be difficult. I think we will probably get very, very low towards the end, if we manage to even get towards the end. But yes, I spot a little base here that's on an island. This was a little bit further away from the other one that we found, so I can't actually shotgun it. But what I can do is slingshot the bots over if I manage to stand in the right place. There we go. Dealt with it nicely. Interestingly enough, the spitter that was there, it was a behemoth spitter, it seemed to give up and die after the base got killed. I think it ran to the water, and the moment it realised it couldn't path to me, and that its base was gone, it just dropped dead, which is a bit weird. I guess at that point they have no purpose. It's probably like it's probably a what do you call it? Lag saving, processing power saving. It's to stop any wastefulness with program stuff. My verbal, I've lost all words actually. I was trying to say that I've lost the ability to talk in terms of technical things, but I've actually lost the ability to talk in terms of anything. My verbal abilities have failed. Yes, those are words. Anyway, more biters to deal with there. I'm sort of swinging around the bots. I tried just deploying 50, and I managed to deal with the base, but there were so many biters that I had to fall back and sort of take some of the biters on the fringe out first before there were nothing but spitters left, and then I could just sort of run back at them. And that was alright. I think I may have been wearing the weaker power suits. I do keep doing that, going into battle with the wrong power suit on, and having a little bit more trouble dealing with them. Though the running faster does definitely help. It allows me to quickly run in and take out a base and jump back again. It's got its pros and cons. But yes, we're dealing with, like, what am I saying? We're harvesting more artifacts and so on. I keep alternating between, and I keep being a bit wasteful with my bots because I deploy a bunch of them, and then before they've blown up I switch back to gathering artifacts. Sometimes I'm just running around and gathering them when I should be going to the next base and dealing with that then. But yes, I forgot I was going to talk about that spitter that died. I was going to say, I wonder if it's some sort of like evolutionary thing, if we're going to go for the lore route or whatever. Like, when it has no purpose it just decides to die, and in some way that helps the general effort by, I don't know, putting biomass back into the earth or something like that. I'm going sort of in the Tyranid direction here. That is sort of what they are, in a way. They just destroy everything, eat it, turn it into mass, biomass, whatever, I don't know. But yes, we're coming out of this desert area now, which is a shame because it's quite easy to run around in desert, and also easier to use the construction bots to pick up artifacts. Once we go into the forest, it'll be more difficult to get the to use the deconstruction planners, because I'll get millions of bits of wood, and it'll be quite annoying. But yes, I think this remains to this day the only other biome I found. I mean, I'm not that sort of good at noticing different biomes, but as far as I can tell, Railworld is entirely this same sort of foresty biome, and then there's just one bit of desert right on the opposite side of the giant lake. I think water counts as its own biome as well. So yeah, actually I guess it doesn't, because water is a different setting than the terrain density stuff, or whatever it's called. I forget what it is, but I've discussed it before, and I think I set it too high in this, so that everything is just this one same biome. But yes, doing some more scanning, going right to the edge of these bits of land. I think I've actually been in this bit before. I don't know if anything else got scanned when I came here. But you can see we made excellent progress, and we've, interestingly enough, managed to sort of meet with our meet with our scanned area across the lake, because there is this weird sort of bulb that we're sort of going around now on the side of the lake. It's like another mini lake on the edge of it, that you can almost like bypass. There's almost a bridge across it, so that you don't have to go around this bit, but the land doesn't quite connect. Interestingly enough, I don't know how far it goes on the other side, because there are some unscanned areas that could be like bits of land that we can walk right out onto that have got quite a few biters on them. But anyway, we're approaching the end now. We've cleared out a big nice area, so we're just putting in some more rails, basically getting onto a straight bit so we can park up the train properly. And the next episode we'll continue with this. We're making excellent progress. We're soon going to be going west and around the north side of the lake, where there's a lot of interesting stuff to do, explore, a lot of interesting features of the lake to sort of wander around in, and lots of biters to deal with. So, we'll park up here, and I shall say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.